Episode 6 is the Christmas Eve of Season 2 in the Rings of Power, the build-up to the big battle of Eregion. Only the suspense and excitement just isn't here. Nobody is struggling to sleep at night, nobody's waiting for the next episode. It just feels like we're waiting for a battle to happen for the sake of happening. A good number of characters are left out entirely on this one. Elrond, King of the Elves, and Isildur, just not here. Some others are very briefly present, such as Gandalf the Brown and Tom Bombadil, who are just simply looking for a staff, and Arondir, who kills a few deserted orcs. There's also further setting up on how the hobbits ended up in the Shire, when we see the desert ones and the Harfoots sort of start talking and getting along. Otherwise, the episode focuses primarily on 4 key areas: the Númenórean politics, Celebrimbor trying to make the 9 rings for men, Adar's orc army, and the dwarves. I like the dwarves the best, and I've got to say the actor who plays Durin, Owain Arthur, is one of the best parts of the whole series in my eyes. He's doing what he can with the situation and is definitely one of the most expressive people there. Unlike many of the other actors in this, he can actually convey emotion. With the dwarves, it further delves into King Durin's corruption as his greed excels. The king and young Durin have a bit of a spat, and in the end the king declares that digging efforts should be doubled. Disa and her Durin agree to try to stop the king's efforts, and they achieve this by using Disa's voice to summon bats or something. It's really odd. Now, on the one hand, maybe there's no powers there at all. They just simply made a noise and bats appeared. Though, it does make one wonder, why are the other dwarves scared of these bats? These people spend their entire life under the mountain, digging as well. Why would a few bats make them run away in fear? But if she did use her powers to summon them, then why haven't we been informed visually of her connection to wildlife under the mountain? You know, maybe some scenes of her hanging out with creatures, talking to them, communicating with them in the past. Instead, it just appears when it needs to appear. And this happens later on in the episode too. When the elves finally notice that they're about to be under attack by Adar's orcs at Eregion, Celebrimbor hears the commotion outside and starts to say to Sauron, "Hey, maybe I should see what's going on." Sauron says, "Don't you dare," and he says, "Don't tell me what to do, friend," and off he goes outside. At this point, Sauron uses his powers to make an illusion, so that when Celebrimbor does step outside, all looks to be well, a nice sunny day, even though it's nighttime. I can be more forgiving with Sauron producing some powers we haven't seen before, but still, why hasn't he used this ability before? If he can make people literally see things he wants them to see, surely we should have featured that earlier on, so we could understand how far his deceit can go, and how it isn't the stupidity of the people around him that are helping his plan get in motion, but in fact his magical trickery that's forcing people to make poor choices. In contrast, if I was to use an example of a good way to show off someone's powers, we could take Peter Jackson's Fellowship of the Ring. Early on, when Gandalf and Bilbo have a tiff, Gandalf gets angry and the lights in Bilbo's home go out. Later on, he also emits a light from his staff, twice in fact. Against Balrog, he creates a light shield around him, and in later films, the theme continues. Even though he's doing something new each time, it all falls within the realm of possibility that they're hammering home. His magic abilities are light-based. Going back to Disa, however, so far as a stone singer, she uses her voice to mourn dead, she uses her voice to talk to the mountain, to see where to dig, and now apparently uses them to summon bats. It's unclear whether her voice is ceremonial, whether it actually does communicate with the mountain, on which note she said she can no longer hear the mountain, or is it there to talk to living creatures? It's very confusing and conflicting and has no thread that connects it all. And another thing, at one point in the episode, elven soldiers alert Sauron that they've found an elven corpse in the surrounding area of Eregion, and a message has been carved into their skin. The camera at this point shows us, the viewers, smoke in the background, suggesting that is the orc army on its way, foreshadowing you might say. After this, and that's a key note, after this corpse has been found and there is smoke in the surrounding area that can be seen from the city of Eregion, Sauron goes off to the king of the dwarves to try get more mithril. He then returns back to the city, and only then do the allegedly keen-eyed elven guards finally realise they're about to be under siege when the orcs are literally outside Aragorn's walls, lining up their trebuchets and preparing them to fire. Since when do elves have bad eyesight? That's like their thing. They're known for having really keen eyes. Why are they now acting like humans? It's just frustrating to see them take all character out of these different races and just make them all essentially the same. Anyway, next week we've got the big battle, so fingers crossed episode 7 actually delivers something. See you then.